going to do a three-part night hunting coyote video 101. There's just too much information in this to do one. It's probably going to be somewhere 30 minutes or so. I'm going to try and keep these videos to about 10 minutes apiece. But the first one, we're going to go over setup and stand location. The second is going to be on stand and calling. And then the third, equipment that we use every night that we go out in the field. These are things that work for me here in southern West Virginia. There's a lot of newcomers asking questions, and I actually have those that have hunted for some time ask me. We all do. We go back and forth and talk about each other, what we have success with, what we've messed up on. So we gather information from each other and use that in our own ways. And so this is what this is for, is to possibly help you take a few of these things and then just implement them in your own way to make you more successful hunting. And then others may just not even know some of these things. So I'm typically night hunting, and I will say you can get by with more when you're night hunting. But I will say that always try to be quiet, always try not to be seen. You never want to get winded. You can make some noise sometimes and get by with it, still kill coyotes. We've had truck alarms go off, coughing hay fever fits during the summertime. So that's not always the end of the hunt. We've killed just minutes after that. Coyotes be within 100 yards when those things have happened. I try to always be as quiet as possible, though. Shutting the doors easy. If we do drive a vehicle or side by side into our location, and that's happens sometimes. I mean, icy conditions, we sometimes drive those vehicles right into our location. But I will wait maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on where I'm at. If it's somewhere, a farm that they're used to hearing side by sides, tractors, we'll typically be a little bit safer in that sense. Not being seen as far as skylit, we don't try not to use our white lights. If I do use a light at all, it's going to be a red light. I try not to even use that as I'm walking in. I'm scanning the area, and definitely not getting winded. If you get winded, your hunt is probably over, unless you have a really large field that coyote may stop out there maybe 300 or 400 yards and you're able to take a really long shot. But typically they're just going to blister out of there. The fields that we hunt, we're not going to get an opportunity at them if we get winded. And I honestly don't see getting winded very often. I mean, it's just something occasionally we might see, and I probably have some that are in the woods that we never even see that we get winded, but I'm not aware of those. So most of the time we're not being seen at all. We're not getting winded, and we do try to be as quiet as possible. So you've obtained permission from landowner. Ask that landowner questions, where he sees coyotes at, where he's hearing them at, what time of night he's hearing them at. We have seen that there is a difference, possibly the time of night, that we may go into an area and have more success than others. So going into the hunt, we notify a landowner that we're coming, but we also like for them to notify us when they are seeing or hearing coyotes close to maybe the farmhouse. This last fall, I was out hunting and got a text from a landowner. I told him I'd be there in just 45 minutes or so. He said that they was lighting up right there around his house. Went out there and within 10 minutes killed 4. So it helps for landowners to text you if they have livestock that's gotten killed, maybe a dead calf or a cow or something of that nature. Tell them to notify you when they have these things happening. So I'm always going to scan into my location, whether that's walking or driving, have the windows down driving, and I'm also feeling the wind when I'm driving into a set through the windows because that's going to tell me where I'm going to make my stand location at based upon the wind. And of course, getting out of the truck, you're going to feel the wind on your face, hitting in your back of the head, face, whatever it may be, getting a sense then. But we have wind indicators. So powders that we're able to squeeze and watch, see which way the wind is blowing. That's the most precise way. And of course, here in West Virginia, we have a lot of swirling winds, but it is going to determine your stand location and how you access that stand. So think about which way the wind is blowing and where you think those coyotes are located at. You may not have heard them. Landowner may not have called you. So you're just going in blind calling, which is what we do 90% of the time. We go in blind calling. And so these weather conditions may actually be a factor of how you access your stand location as well. I'm always wanting to set up close to the woods. So I don't want to walk 400 or 500 yards through deep snow if that's the case. And sometimes I may not want to walk 400 or 500 yards anyway. So whether it's the summertime, so we sometimes will take side by sides in the vehicle if the terrain allows us to do that. We're not going to drive through farmers' fields and messing them up. Most don't care if you're driving side by side in around the edges of fields and things. So we respect the landowner. So always think about that. But I'm wanting to get close to the wood line because coyotes, 95% of the time, and even at nighttime, they're going to be in the woods. And they're feeling safer coming out into the fields at nighttime, but they're going to be in the woods still yet. And so I want to get closer to the wood line and to be more successful. Not I don't want to sit back 600-700 yards from a wood line and them coyotes come from a distance of that far. It doesn't seem like they want to travel through an open area to a call that far. Sometimes they will, but more successful, it's easier if we get closer to the wood line, 150, 200 yards. And most of our fields roll a lot. So, I mean, I might not be able to see 50, 60, 70 yards off on my right hand side. I may be able to see 200 yards on my left hand side. So, that terrain depicts where your stand location is going to be a lot of times. So, as I'm walking in, and if I'm not familiar with a field, a stand location, um, I will look at the surroundings. Maybe there's a building, a pond just came from a house, whatever it may be. There's always something that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of where that coyote may be coming from. It's not always a given, not 100%, but you can look and see hollers, draws, saddles, fence lines, different things that kind of let you think you know where a coyote is going to come from. So in that, I'm wanting to place my call 25, 30 yards from me, and I'm going to look at the terrain and decide where that coyote's most likely going to come from. Then I'm going to position the call, trying to use a crosswind to the left or the right, away from my scent line. So if I have a wind coming from my left to right, maybe at a 45-degree angle, and I think the coyotes are going to come out on my left-hand side, maybe 200 yards away. So I have the wind coming across this way. The coyotes are going to come out on my left side. I'm going to place the call on my left side, and I'm going to point it in a direction to where it's pushing those coyotes out more to the left of the field. I don't want to set it on my right side and have one of them come maybe straight in front of me. I want to try to push them over to the left side. So when they come into the field, to be able to take that shot before they start getting to my wind line. Typically, what I find is that they come out of the field where I think that they're going to, and then start making their way to my wind line. So that I'm going to take advantage of that, and this is what works in my area. Most people will tell you to put your have the wind facing you all the time, blowing in your face. That just doesn't work for us in our area. Successful at what we do. And when I'm 150, 200 yards from that wood line, those coyotes are already in range. And so it's going to take them, even if they do try to get to my downwind side sometimes, I'm already going to be able to take that shot. And this does not always it's not 100% that these coyotes are going to come from downwind at all. There's many times that I have them come straight on our six from straight behind us. They typically, hopefully, don't get winded, but they typically try to move down on the downwind side, even if they're on our backside. But usually, we're going to be taking that shot before that ever even takes place. So we're going to try to let this video end here. Please like, follow, share. We're going to go into part two. Like I said, I'm going to try and keep these as short as possible, but try to give you as much information as I possibly can, and hit some of the comments. If you have questions, feel free to make some comments. Probably some people are going to disagree with the things that I do, but this is what works for me consistently, time over time. Thanks for watching. God bless.